So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hola, everybody, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. I'm here on my own today due to poor planning and Paddy being in Paris for Ireland versus France. And I don't know what it is when Paddy goes to live sporting events. The team we want to win lose, so maybe we're just going to have to ban him from going to events. We're just going to have to ban him, I think. Yeah, we might have a poll later on just to see if we should ban Paddy from going to matches. But no, he's over. He's on a well-deserved break over in Paris. So, and as I say, I've just been up the walls. So, I did have a guest lined up, but just didn't work out for today. So, you got me all on your own. So, I'm going to be really relying on comments to come here to keep this thing afloat for today. But we're going to be chatting today, obviously, about Aston Villa and Newcastle. Why not, considering they're going to be playing at 2 p.m. in St. James's Park. I suppose there's a couple of little bits of info that have been trickling out. I would be surprised if Emi Buendia is playing today. I think that's probably fair to say, given some of the recent comments, I think, from Steven Gerrard in the press conference. Steven Gerrard did say that he took a heavy knock on his leg and that he would be a game time decision, that it was a 50-50 decision. Looks like Philippe Coutinho is going to be fit and well and healthy and ready to come into the starting lineup, or to start, should I say, again, because he was in the starting lineup last day as well. How could we forget after that fantastic 20-minute performance he gave towards the end of the first half? But it's going to be an interesting team sheet tantrum, I think, or lineup, should I say, because while it's expected that Callum Chambers comes in, I don't know whether we will see the same level of consistency within the midfield three. We may see some change in there. Unlikely, but I'd say that there's probably a 40% chance maybe we might see more legs come in there in some way, shape, or form, specifically if Emi Buendia is going to be out of the team. I personally don't think that Kenny Chukwuemeka is going to start in that 10 role should Buendia come out, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with him not starting in this game. An away game against Newcastle, who are on the back of a win, are buoyant. Their fans are feeling great. They have a full stadium again today. And I know there's an awful lot made about Newcastle fans being the best fans in the world and all that. And yeah, they get their tops off and, you know, fantastic, super stuff. But there is something in it. You know, they love their football club. Not saying that Aston Villa fans don't love their football club, but what I'm saying is that it's one of the more partisan atmospheres that you can go to when you are in the Premier League. And it's going to be wall-to-wall, black and white up there for this game. And I just think that Steven Gerrard will probably go and try and stifle in the early parts. If we can nick an early goal, fantastic. If not, then I think that he wants to stifle, and this becomes a must-not-lose game within the first 20 minutes. We've conceded loads of goals within the first 10 minutes of games, first 15 minutes of games. I should really start making note of these statistics, because I saw one where I think Aston Villa have the most goals conceded over the last 2 seasons within the first 15 minutes of games. That's concerning. That's something I don't want to see Aston Villa do. Don't want us to see us concede early. It really knocked us off our stride against Leeds. Yes, we came roaring into it again like a train because of Philippe Coutinho. But what happens if Philippe Coutinho doesn't have that 20-minute purple patch? You know, if he doesn't have that, we're literally pulling our hair out at halftime going, oh my God, that was diabolical. That first half was really bad because it wasn't great up to that point. And these are fair criticisms, I think, to make, but they're ones I think can be fixed because we're still here. Don't know how many games we are into Steven Gerrard's tenure. And it's not on Steven Gerrard. I think that there's there's an evolution of this playing squad and the way that we do play. That we can see on the field. We can see where we want to bring the ball. The positions we want to bring the ball into is changing from where we even were the first couple of games of Steven Gerrard, and certainly from where we were at Dean Smith. So there is an evolution there. But listen, we're only getting fits and starts. We're getting 15, 20-minute performances in both halves. There's sometimes only 20-minute performances throughout the whole lot of the game. And this isn't news to anyone. Anybody with a set of eyes can see that when they watch the game. So this is something that we need to do. I'd be okay with us controlling the game moving forward and seeing what can happen. Going to bring us to some comments there, because I have monologued for way too long there. We're 5 minutes before the team is proposed to be announced. So we have Sean Green. I'm confident about today, though there are reasons not to be. Just think we'll click today and 2-0. I would love a 2-0 performance. The clean sheet away from home in St. James's, somewhere we haven't won in 17 years, 16 years or something, 25 games, something mad like that. 2005, I think, was the last time that we won in St. James's Park. So they've had our number no matter what kind of regime we've had, and we've had some good teams since then. We just haven't been able to beat them. So getting that monkey off our back would be fantastic. Junior says, I'll take a draw and a solid performance from Mings because he needs it. And yeah, I think the guys are going to be on Tyrone Mings, but he's a big boy. I think he's I don't envisage him throwing in a performance like he did against Leeds. We're not going to shy away from the performance. We spoke about it in the review pod. It wasn't good enough from both of our center halves, and it can't be like that again today. And do you genuinely think? I know it's all roses and lovey doveys, and from Stephen Gerrard in the press conference when he said that we don't dig out players and we don't single players out and shift the blame onto certain players, that it's a collective blame from the team. Yeah, but you really think he's not going to sit him down and say, Tyrone, what are you doing? And let's see. The measure of the man is how we come back, and I don't have any reason to believe that Tyrone Mings isn't somebody who's going to want to come back and have a better performance than that. Snifferat says, I'm worried today. He's not going to lie. There should be a small bit of worry. There should be a small bit of worry every game Aston Villa go into at the moment until we click, because we're always doing previews on potential. What's the potential of this team? If this team clicks, what happens if? And, are you expecting this person to have a good performance? And as we said, we're seeing it in 20-minute starts, not in 90-minute bursts. And until we see it in 90-minute bursts, or even 70-minute bursts, or even 80-minute bursts, we had an 80-minute performance against Wolves, and we ended up losing the game. So we need to see a full, complete, complementary performance in both a defense, midfield, and attack today. So it's okay to be worried, I think. Ian says Chambers in for Konsa and Ings in for Buendia. I could see that for sure. Be interesting to see what we do or what happens when for Buendia if he is out, if the rumors are that he is out. I don't really expect him to play, to be honest. Great midfield partnership. Long may it continue, says Sweet Karma. Or long may it Coutinho, says Sweet Karma. Kieran, good to see you, man. Good afternoon, chaps. I can't wait to get off this feckin' coach. I'm hoping to get a signal when we get there up the Villa. Kieran on his way up to Geordie Land. A long trip, I can imagine. But yeah, hopefully there's a toilet on the coach, Kieran. Nothing worse than a long coach ride. Danny says, been watching Newcastle fan channel previews. They are overconfident to the extent that baffles and slightly concerns me. All fans should be overconfident about their team. There's an irrationality. There's a whole irrationality to what we talk about sometimes. Like sometimes we get way swept up in the claret and blue wave as well. Like when I say we, myself and Paddy, and we get low when we shouldn't be as low, and we get high when we shouldn't be as high as we should be. So I'd be surprised. I'd be very worried if Newcastle fans weren't absolutely over the moon, considering that their club is on an upward trajectory. They've just gotten out of the relegation zone. They've signed some good players. They've got all that money behind them. And Eddie Howe looks like he's somebody who has a plan, at least to keep them in the Premier League for this season, which is very good. Ian again says, Target being is not too concerned. Target and eligible is a big boost for us. I absolutely agree. Nathan says, for a minute, I thought Paddy was going on a romantic weekend. Well, is rugby not a romantic sport? They get really, really close and they lie down on top of each other, and so I consider it a romantic sport myself. Yeah, absolutely. Paddy in Paris, a rom-com I'd watch. Oh, I don't know. I'm kind of laughing at it, but I'm also shivering as well at the thought. Michael88 says Ramsey Coutinho masterclass needed today. I'm really looking forward to seeing if that was. I'm not going to say a flash in the pan because they have bounced off each other in the last 2 games, but I really want to see this throughout the course of the season because there's nothing better than a bromance like that really hits and really happens. Like we had kind of with McGinn and with Grealish. You know, there was a kind of a working relationship there, you would almost call it, and it was definitely. I'm after killing my Twitter stream there just as the team was being announced. It's something I definitely want to see for sure. Oh no. Have we got a team? We do. We have a lineup. Sorry to everybody whose comments I haven't gotten to yet. We will get to them now in one moment. Just going to share up my screen. You guys should be able. Sorry, guys. Going to share that again. Show window, Twitter. That's much better. So we've Martinez in goals, Cash, Chambers, Mings and Dina, McGinn, Luis, Ramsey, Buendia, Watkins, Coutinho. Exactly the same. Well, exactly as we thought, I suppose, if Buendia was going to start. Good news, Buendia is starting, by the way. Good news. I've spent the last 10 minutes talking about maybe he might start in the rooms. And look, rumors are fueled by what Steven Gerrard said, but he's passed the fitness test. I'm always of the opinion of start them and take them off, as opposed to bring them on and have to take them off. That is a disaster if you have to do that. Start him if we can. If he's feeling it after 20 minutes. We've got people on the bench there, and you can see that there are names there on the bench. We're going to go through them again. We have Leon Bailey is back on the bench. Bailey's an ice for us watching the match today, guys. So we've got Robin Olsen, Courtney House, Ben Christine, Crescene. I really have to brush up my pronunciations. So I'd say Ben Christine or Ben Crescene, whichever you prefer. Ashley Young, Young Tim, Morgan Sanson, Carney, Leon Bailey, the Jamaican master, is back on the bench, and Daniel Ings is also there as well. You have to admit there's a lot of options on that bench. I love seeing Ben Christine and Young Tim in there as well. You know, to me, that's good. And Steven Gerrard mentioned something, and I know I'm diverting from the fact that, look, we need to talk about the actual team that are playing. And sometimes I find in these team sheet tantrums that I get more sucked into the subs than I do who's actually playing. But Steven Gerrard was mentioning that Young Tim, he's not too far away from a Premier League debut. And it's a question I know that was posed during the transfer window where people were kind of asking, what are we going to do? We didn't bring in the defensive midfielder. And I think, look, while Nakamba should be back maybe in the next 4 to 6 weeks, there's talk he'll be back in and around the start of April. Maybe if Young Tim needs to come in there and do a job, that he can do a job in there. And why not? Like, he's been on the bench. I would go so far as to say since Steven Gerrard has been here, he's been on the bench more than he hasn't. And that's good to be in and around a first team squad like that. So I'm absolutely delighted for him. Looking at the team himself, obviously we're going to have huge eyes on the defensive center half partnership there. It's going to be huge eyes on it. I spoke on, I don't know, was it on our podcast? No, it must have been on the Villa View. I was on the Villa View with Omar during the week and spoke about Callum Chambers and why I think that it will be extra beneficial for us in this particular game. And it obviously, look, it's all hypothetical because we don't know exactly how he's going to play in that position for Aston Villa. But the fact that he's got experience playing as a right back, and the fact that we're going to be coming up against Alain Saint-Maxim, who was just brilliant against, I'm just going to say during the week, I'm blanking today, about 2 hours sleep last night. So I'm blanking today on a lot of information. So if you're here for factual information and not my opinion, today might be the best day for it. But Alain Saint-Maxim is coming back into form. He's playing on that. He's going to be playing on that left wing. He's going to be coming off that wing, maybe coming in centrally as well. That's if he's on the team. We must check the Newcastle team in a moment. But Chambers will have the ability to be able to, at least if Cash gets caught up forward, if Douglas Luiz does stay in a more defensive role, which I think he should do this time, we should almost nearly play almost like a diamond there with a Buendia at the top of it or Coutinho at the top of it, the two of them rotating. Whoever isn't at the top of the diamond then is basically just playing a free role in around, trying to pick up that area in the middle of the field or trying to get wide. Or two, we've seen it, Ramsey and McGinn do push further apart, and I think Luis should maybe come back a small bit as well. If he is that guy who slots in between the two centre halves when our fullbacks go forward, at least Chambers, being knowledgeable of how to play that right back position, will be able to go out there and get at the left winger as well. But let's have a quick look here and see what the Newcastle team is. I'm sure that they'll have something up on Twitter. They've retweeted our team. That's very good of them. Dubravka is in goals. Trippier makes the team, which is interesting. Somebody that they didn't think was going to be, or they thought was going to be a game time decision. He ran the show as well. He orchestrates things from right back. So I think there's going to have to be a small bit of eyes on him, specifically if you are going to play Buendia maybe over that side of the field. Maybe, I don't know. It might be an interesting one, considering Buendia does track back a lot more than Coutinho. Sharon, Dan Burn in the two centre halves, and then Manquillo is deputising for. Manquillo is probably in a right back and Trippier in it left back. I don't know. Either way, Manquillo is in there. You've got Shelvey, Willock, and Joe Linton in midfield, with Ryan Fraser, Sam Maxim wide, with Chris Wood up top. And when you look at their subs bench as well, there they've got Darlow, Dummett, Kraft, Murphy, Almiron, Gale, Longstaff, Guimaraes, and Debole, who I don't know anything about, to be honest with you. There are places you can get at this team. There are places this team can get at you. I spoke about Sam Maxim. Ryan Fraser, as people will know, Ryan Fraser is my irrational fear for whatever reason. Ryan Fraser and Matt Ritchie are my irrational fears. I'm just they're that old-fashioned player who can really cross a ball very, very well. I fucking hate that. I hate that in this day and age, because they're not going to absolutely murder you down the wings. But what they'll do is they'll do something like a James Ward-Prowse, and they'll just whip one in out of nowhere, and someone will get their head in it, and you're going, oh, no. You know, it just completely changes the balance of a game. So I don't like Ryan Fraser playing there. I don't like Ryan Fraser being able to do that from the right-hand side, and I don't like Sam Maxim being able to carry the ball from the left-hand side. And that's that we're definitely going to have our work cut out there. Chris Wood and Tyrone Mings have had very much the battling relationship playing when Wood is playing for Burnley. So it's not an ideal matchup for Tyrone Mings. Chambers isn't exactly the puff your chest out and get aggressive with a guy in the air type of centre half either. So there is an area they can get at us. Joe Willock, massive goal scoring form last season, hasn't really come into this season, but still a very talented player. Joe Linton has turned into Dunga all of a sudden since he's gone back into that midfield role. And John Joe Shelvey, you know what you're going to get from him. He's going to kick you up and down from the start of the game to the end of the game. That's what he does. And he's going to have probably an absolutely unbelievable, out of this world, never saw coming in a million years, 40-yard raking pass onto somebody's toe. That's you get swings and roundabouts, full manic episodes from John Joe Shelvey in a good and a bad way. So where we can get at this team, I think Fabian Schär and Dan Burn are made for Ollie Watkins, but they're made for an Ollie Watkins who gets ball played to him. If Watkins has an abject performance like he did last week, we won't see anything of him, because they're just going to engulf him. They're two big, strong centre halves. Dan Burn is nearly the height of the Eiffel Tower. And Paddy will be able to confirm that when he comes back. And Fabian Schär is no slouch either, when he's back there. So we're really going to have to play on their shoulders. They're not going to have the high line that Leeds played. They won't in a million years have that high line today. And if they do, then go at them. Let's have an absolute field day, because if they do have a high line, we're quids in. If they play with a high line like Leeds did, there is no reason we shouldn't put 3-4 goals in this team. That's me with my claret and blue glasses being out over the top, over my skis on that one. And the reason I say that is because look at our attacking talent. Look at Coutinho, look at Buendia, look at Watkins, international caliber striker, albeit it hasn't been on form this season. We should be able to put goals on this team if they play a high line. If they don't, and if they get compact, and if they look to use the wings and stay steady and strong in midfield, which by all means Joe Linton, Willock and Shelvey tells me that they will do, well then, that's the smart money would be on them doing that. But look, we never know, and hopefully we'll be able to catch this team as well. So I'm just going to take this down. I'm going to go back to our comments there for a moment. I'm just going to go past some of the pre-announcement of the team comments. Apologies if anybody is had something in there that was very very insightful. But here we go. Andy Mack says midfield will be crucial today. I need to protect the defenses. I think they will try to isolate Mings. Yeah, I agree. Midfield will be crucial today. Just based on what their team is, I don't see how they will isolate Mings because. But then again, Willock could be pushed an awful lot further forward, and if that does happen, and it brings, we need Douglas Luiz to be on his A game if that is the case. But midfield are crucial today. Absolutely. We're going to be outmatched from a height point of view. From midfield and the two centre halves, their centre halves as opposed to our centre halves. So we're going to be outmatched from a height point of view there. And, we're going to need to move the ball very, very quickly. We're going to need to play triangles in midfield. But I think our midfield are going to need to be a bit more compact in there. And I wouldn't like to be one of our fullbacks today because they're going to have a heavy workload going up and down that field. That's what I think. I don't think we're going to get a lot of balls through the middle today looking at these two lineups. And I think that Dina and Cash are going to want to have had their Weetabix this morning because they're going to expend energy up and down that field today. And they're going to need to come back as quick as they're going to need to go forward. Ross says that he's hoping Sanson gets a chance today. Mike Warmbold says, is Bailey available? Yeah, thankfully he is here and he's in the building, which is fantastic. Where are we? Sorry, I keep on losing. Sean, thank you so much. Sean says, love your content making collaborations. Keep up the great work. On a side note, we have to dominate the central midfield and create some cover for the misplaced David Luiz. Is that a Freudian slip there, or did you mean to? Is it Douglas Luiz, David Luiz, or are you calling Tyrone Mings David Luiz? I don't know what that is there, but I do know what you mean, though, that midfield has to be more active. We have to be more positionally aware, because if you're going to have the two boys playing in floating roles up there in Buendia and Coutinho, you can't have the three in midfield losing their position whatsoever. You just can't. So it's a thankless job in there in midfield, and it's going to be even less thankful today because of who they're playing in midfield. So yeah, it's going to be huge battle in that midfield, and one that we just have to win. Just have to win. British Mick says Newcastle is an intimidating place to go. Can I liken it to Millwall? Completely have no Scooby what he'll do in defense this week. Yeah, well, as I say, it's going to be really interesting to see how Chambers gets on there, and it shows to me that they've pinned their cunners to the mast that they want a right footer and a left footer in there in the two centre half positions, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Much now as I love Courtney House, I'm okay with that. This is a good point as well, I suppose. Biplav says, we always hear about competition for places and having a squad, but it seems it's always the usual suspects. When will Sanson, House, Ings get a chance? I suppose there's kind of two trains of thought on this. And you're right. We do hear about a competition for places and having a squad, but I suppose the competition from places comes from what are they doing on the training ground? And we don't know, I suppose, is the big question there. Like, maybe Danny Ings isn't sticking it in the back of the net in training. Maybe he's not working. Maybe he's not working out with Coutinho. As I say, maybe we see that the inefficiency of maybe the fact that Dan Burn isn't great on the turn. I rhymed, and that Fabian Schär doesn't have the engine of a car. A worse rhyme, but still. And Watkins does. Watkins can get in around them. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. I was surprised things didn't come off the bench against Leeds. So absolutely, I agree with your comment that competition for places, we hear about it, but I feel that Danny Ings isn't really probably getting a look in there. I think Courtney House wasn't going to come into play on the right hand side, and Sanson, you know, I think he's biding his time. I think maybe we see him off the bench today, depending on how the game is going. But I think Sanson is a victim of similarity in how he plays to the likes of McGinn, and you know, you're not really going to drop McGinn because he's a linchpin in that midfield. But it's an interesting one. And you know what? One that we should keep an eye on a small bit more. You know, about when these guys are going to get their chances, and if they deserve them, you know, they should. Philip, exactly. Dwight Gale, when I was mentioning the team, I was there. Not him again. I thought he'd be gone to the MLS at this stage or somewhere along those lines. He does. He loves scoring against teams when you least expect him to score. Dwight Gale. But he's had a fantastic career, Championship and Premier League, you know, and he's always beating the odds. I think is what you'd say about Dwight Gale, and beware of him when and if he does come on. Yeah, Jonathan Tinsley says Manquillo and Shark can be gotten at. I 100% agree. 100% agree. And I think that's what we're going to look for in this game. Where are we? The remote property flipper says Watkins could really do with a goal or two today. JJ or Coutinho to put one on a plate for him up the Villa. I'd love it. I'd love JJ to turn provider today. And I'll tell you why, and I'm coming at this from a queer angle now, to be honest with you. From an angle that's a small bit different, is I don't want JJ Ramsey to just be known as a midfielder who scores goals, because the second you stop scoring goals, people will start to question what you actually do for the team. That made sense in my mind, kind of, when I was saying it. So what I mean by that is that JJ has all the attributes in the world to be a rounded midfielder. That does it all. And he's only started scoring goals recently, but he's only started hitting the headlines recently within the national media. And I think back to midfielders who don't have the temperament that JJ has, and how it kind of unraveled for them. And I know I'm probably going to be harsh when I talk about, and I'm going to talk about homegrown talents like ours. Like Hitzelsberger was known for scoring bangers of goals, like boom, thunderbolts from outside the box. I saw one during the week that he scored however many years ago. It was just fantastic. If we had someone who could score goals like that, it'd be great. But, you know, he kind of suffered because he kind of fell between two stools of being a defensive midfielder who was probably ahead of his time, in the fact that he was almost too defensive for the Premier League as it was then. And he wasn't great in the assists market. And then you look at the likes of Lee Hendry, who was pushed out wide, brought back into the centre, had a great season scoring goals, and then really kind of went off the boil. And then when you're one of those goal scoring midfielders and you don't continue to score goals, you become a kind of a, you know, you're a pat in the back is only a couple of inches away from kick up the arse, really, like, you know, from that point of view. That if you stop scoring, you become expendable within the team. So 20 years of age, absolutely blown away by the potential that this man has and that Ramsey has, and long may it continue. And let's see him show can he assist people, because he's shown that he's able to square up and get physical in the middle of midfield as well. So yeah, as I say, I'd like to continue to see his development. Obviously, score as many goals as you want, JJ. Like, I'm not telling you don't score goals, but it's just a little interesting kind of piece I've been thinking about on players like Ramsey, specifically young players that come through like that. Another interesting point, Joe. Feels like one or two players are in the team for the chance to make amends today. I agree. I thought I almost would have thought that Ings had probably the upper hand of starting today, but then again, we don't know what goes on in training. And as I say, there's a huge big spotlight on Ollie Watkins today up top, and I never thought Mings was ever going to be dropped. I never thought Luis was ever going to be dropped. Certainly didn't. I thought potentially if Buendia wasn't going to play, that maybe Ramsey was pushed up forward and they were going to bring Sanson into the middle of midfield to potentially have created the smallest midfield ever to play in the Premier League. But I thought that might have happened, but I think really Ings for Watkins is probably the one change that I probably thought had a best chance of happening. But yeah, look, and let's see if they make amends. I don't think there's anybody in this team we should throw out with the backwater either. I think they all deserve the chance to make amends. But as I say, when do the chances to make amends start turning into, okay, we're going to sit you down for a while and see what the other guys can do. Kind of piggybacking off Biplav's comment earlier on. Ross says Sanson deserves a start in place of Douglas Luiz, in my opinion. Depending, and I don't know where Douglas Luiz actually plays in this team since Steven Gerrard came in, because he's played in 2 or 3 different positions since he's came in. But depending on what they want Douglas Luiz to do, if he's playing in a flat 8 position and not in a 6, I don't think Sanson can play in that position. Just historically, he's not played in that position very often. He's really been more of an 8, more of a he's even played in like the attacking right-sided midfielder role from memory. But it's worth a try. I'm not saying that I would flat out say no, but I what I'm saying here is I can understand why it isn't Sanson instead of Douglas Luiz. I can understand why it isn't there. And I think if Douglas Luiz was to be sat down from the team, I potentially think it could be young Tim comes in there. Tim Aregbenham comes in that position. But I suppose we'll know if performances don't pick up. We will know who the next man up in that position will be. But interesting one for sure. Where are we? I kind of agree with this as well, Linky. Let's not call for JJ getting called up. It always leads to our players getting poached. Don't get me wrong, great for the player, but crap for us, in my opinion. Look, history tells that tale, doesn't it? History tells that tale, but let's hope that it hasn't worked out. Like Tyrone Mings hadn't been poached from us, but I know that up to last year there was a lot of rumors swirling around whether who's going to go to X team or Y team or whatever. But an interesting one. I'd still love to see him play because we've got such a rich tradition of players going on to play for England. But as I say, there's one way to stop teams from poaching us, Linky, and that is to become better ourselves. And hopefully that is the case. So Ian is a Darlington fan, bankrupt in 2011, reformed in 2012, demoted 4 leagues. We are currently a fan-owned National League North club. We've had 3 promotions to date. Welcome aboard, Ian. Thanks a million for popping on, and best of luck to Darlington, and hopefully you continue to rock it up through the leagues, and we see you back in the Football League again, because it's never nice for a team to go out of business like that. And I remember being up in arms myself. I think myself and Paddy even talked about it when Bury went out of existence, and the fact that for all the people maybe and Everton fans at the moment maybe don't really like Bill Kenwright, he tried to save that club. But he couldn't because of the ownership rules. He wanted to give, I think it was $1 million, $2 million or something to save Bury. He wasn't even going to buy them. He was just giving them a loan, from what I remember. And it just didn't work out that way. But they went to the wall, and it's always sad to see teams go to the wall. And look, 5 years ago we nearly went to the wall as well. So 4 or 5 years ago we nearly went to the wall. So it's something that still kind of stings us when we see teams see that happen to teams. So continued success to Darlington, and thanks a million for popping by for to give us a quick watch. Ant, should I say, says Watkins has been poor for some time, and Ings certainly deserves his chance. Struggling to remember anything positive Watkins did on Wednesday, and was extremely fortunate not to be subbed. I think I agree. As I say, I will say that there was 2 times within the game that I thought that. And I've said it before, that if he was 2 inches taller, he's sliding at the back post, he could have got at least 1 goal. I think he got a connection on one of them, or maybe Stuart Dallas got in front of him. But I think that's really all he did. I don't think that the game really came to him at all. And I will say one positive thing he did. His movement for the 3rd goal and the 2nd goal. I'm going to say actually for both of them, for the 3rd goal and for the 2nd goal, I thought was quite good, because it created an even bigger divide between their 2 centre halves. Specifically, that ball that Coutinho threaded through to JJ. There was a big wide divide there between the 2 centre halves, and he actually did the opposite thing for the 3rd goal. So when the ball came, when JJ was coming around in the arc on the opposite side, he actually pulled the 2 centre halves closer together, which gave JJ more room on that other side. So his movement is still there, but as I say, you have a centre forward to score goals. You really do, and you need your centre forward to score goals, and you need your centre forward to play himself into the game as best he can, and hopefully that happens today. Really, hopefully that happens today. Cool. So, guys, it's coming up on 1:30. Thank you so much to everybody for your comments today. I really appreciate it. Hosting on your own sometimes can be tough, but there's some great comments there, and thanks a million for sticking around and for listening to me and for all your comments. Really appreciate it, because you guys have brought up some super points, as you always do. Game is on in 34 minutes time, I think. If my clock is right, 34 minutes time. I'm really looking forward to this, and I suppose my final thoughts on this are Leon Bailey is back on the bench, and I wonder, will he get some time? And it's going to be a massive talking point over the course of the rest of the season, is how the hell are we going to put Leon Bailey in our team, considering we play with 2 10s behind the striker? And I wonder, potentially, does he play up top? I wonder. Now, obviously, Danny Ings is going to be the incumbent there for the time being, but it's just one to watch with his pace and with his trickery. Leon Bailey, I'm looking forward, and hopefully we get to see some. There's like it's mad looking at the bench there. There's like 7 people on the bench that I really want to see play today. I think I want to see everybody play other than Ashley Young and Courtney House. Which is kind of mad, really, considering we can't make all those subs. But and it's not that I don't like Ashley Young or Courtney House. I just know what they're about. The rest of the team, the rest of the guys that are there are really intriguing, and that's a good sign for me, because we're going to be able to mix it up and change it up. But guys, I'm going to leave it at that. 33 minutes. Thanks so much to everybody for listening. Thanks so much to everybody for watching. If we win, might come back with an immediate reaction podcast. Actually, do you know what? I'll come back with an immediate reaction podcast regardless. I haven't done one in a while. And look, you got to take the smooth with the rough. It's I've got a mad week next week. It's Valentine's Day tomorrow, so I mightn't be allowed to get to the podcast machine as much as I want tomorrow. So I might as well just get out of the way and get it done today. So lads, we will see you again after the game. Super stuff with all your engagement there. Really appreciate it. Thanks for everything you do for the podcast. Give us a like before you go. Click on the thumbs up on YouTube if you pretty please, if you can. Let's get a load of likes in there. If we get over 100 likes, I absolutely adore it. It'll be fantastic. Sound for everything you do. Gonna leave you go watch the game, and all that's left to say while he gets his outro up is up the Villa.